expressed on the Damned Podcast do not necessarily represent the official policy or positions of any agency or business. Now let's start the show. Hey guys, welcome to the Bomb Podcast. I'm your host, David MD. If you're not familiar with the podcast, I talk to local talents, basically within driving distance of my home around Colorado, about bombing at life, bombing at love, and bombing on stage. With me today, Luso. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. I appreciate you coming out on what's today, Wednesday?
Sure.
Nice. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
discombobulated myself. So before we got started, I sat down with Lou and talked about all the random bombs that she has in life. She has quite the list this week, so I am definitely looking forward to jumping into this. So, Lou, let's talk about the stage bomb.
All right. I bomb every day at open mics, but I was on a feature show, a showcase, and it was up in Parker, which is different, I come to find, than Colorado Springs, right? I've been really running the circuits here and then decided to take my stuff to Parker thinking I was just going to crush it. And I got up there and started my set, and it's just a different crowd, okay, with a little bit different standards. And I got up there and decided to start off with the fact that I didn't believe in God. And
yeah, in Colorado, that's rolling the dice.
Yeah, down here in the Springs, it's okay. I can get away with it because it's part of a joke. So it's not just hey, if you don't like atheists, get out.
Yeah.
It's just part of a joke. It's a joke,
Yeah.
But I immediately lost the crowd.
Fuck.
So I was just basically I was just fighting my way back. I finished my whole set. And nobody yelled at me or threw their shoes at me or their Bibles.
Did you see the arms?
But yeah, I definitely, it was crickets in there, and they were just, giving me a certain type of vibe, and that sucked. And it was literally off of me saying one thing, one sentence. And I listened to the other comics, and I'm my other material would have went over fine. It's just that I started with that. So
learned a lesson that day, huh?
Yeah, it's fine. If you don't believe in God, just keep it to yourself. So.
Yeah. I'd probably be close to the middle or the end of my set, because now okay, I don't believe in God, but I'm a decent person.
Yeah.
Just they probably immediately assumed that you're an asshole or sacrificing children or something, and
right,
make all these crazy assumptions. So
drinking baby's blood for sure.
It does taste good, but no.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not to that level. When I'm famous, that's definitely going to be the first thing I do.
Yeah.
So.
It's got to do wonders for the skin too. But.
Yeah. For sure.
Alrighty. How about this breakup we were talking about, Laura?
Okay. A little backstory. I grew up in Utah. I grew up Mormon, very conservative household. So I did tend to rebel. I was a wild child, which we'll talk about more later, but I ended up basically running off with this guy the day I graduated from high school. I didn't even walk. I didn't go to my graduation. I just moved to California.
Damn.
With my boyfriend. He was my first boyfriend. He was just a bad boy, typical, that's what you go for. And anyway, so we dated for about a year, and then I did have a lot of pressure. We moved back to Utah. I moved to California to live with him. We moved back to Utah, and I had a lot of pressure because I was living with him, and so my whole family was oh, she's shacking up.
Oh, dear.
She's shacking up with a guy over there, and nobody would come to my house, whatever. So I put a lot of pressure on him to get married. So we ended up getting married, and then a month after, and keep in mind, I'm barely 18. I had never dated anybody else. I was super head over heels in love, just totally blind to anything but how cool I thought he was, right?
Yeah. You're more in love with the image and the thought of the relationship and not the reality of the relationship. Okay.
Yeah. So a month into it, we were camping with some of his friends. We were up in Idaho. I guess we were staying at a cabin, and I he was like in the bathroom getting ready in the morning. I laugh out this now, but it's not funny. So he was like, it was like where the toilet is separate from like the sink, you know? So he was in like the shower toilet area, and I was like brushing my teeth or something. And I hear this lighter flicking. And I'm like, what is that noise? Because I trusted him. I had all the trust in the world. I never like went through his stuff. I never, really just like questioned anything, right? But so I hear like this noise, and at the time I had like never smoked weed. I maybe drank a little bit, but I didn't know anything about drugs, nothing. So he is like flicking this lighter, and I can hear it, and he's like, what? Like, what noise? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a very distinct noise.
And I was like, all right. So later I just had this like terrible feeling, like just this pit in my stomach. Later he went four-wheeling with his friends, and I decided to go through his stuff.
Fuck.
So I searched to the bottom of his backpack, and I find it was like a sunglasses case or something, and I open it, and there was a spoon and needles.
Oh,
and
shit.
Basically, long story short, is he was addicted to heroin.
Fuck.
And I literally just immediately like threw up.
Well, that's the thing. Coming from the Mormon culture, you guys don't do caffeine, don't do like anything,
right?
And that's pretty top shelf like narcotics there. So
right,
yeah,
right. When people are like, I get so much shit because people are like, how did you not know? How did you not know? But I'm like, I think that he was at that point, like doing it to just be normal and function. So now looking back on it, I'm like, oh, okay. Like a lot of stuff makes sense.
That chill attitude was drug induced.
Yeah, like he never got mad.
Fuck, man.
So anyway, yeah, it like basically just totally destroyed me, and he just totally like lied about it. He like denied it right there. Fuck. He's like, that's not mine, Barbara. And I'm just like,
I'm diabetic.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, so
we put the insulin in the spoon, and we
it's just we got it from Costco. It's to save money. Yeah, so we broke up after that.
That's pretty crazy.
Then I had to get divorced, and it was like a whole...
Oh, yeah, I forgot you guys were married.
Yeah, we were married, dude. So I just wanted out. I didn't try to take like his heroin money or anything. I just wanted out. Like, I don't even want your drug money. I just want...
Did you have to go back to your parents after that, too?
Yeah. I totally moved back in with my parents and tried to get over like the trauma that it caused me. And then I just thought everyone after that was a drug addict, for like years after that. I'm like I time how long they're in the bathroom. I'm like, they've been in there for an exceptionally long time. Like, can you just poop with the door open? Like on the first date, I'm like, I'm going to need to see you poop with the door open.
That's going to 100 pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely wrecked me at 18.
Damn. And did you have to tell your parents, like, yeah, he was on the H, like all stuff, or did you kind of tippy-toe?
I know. I definitely like needed their support. Like, I was wrecked. I was messed up. So, they were a good support for me, and they were pretty supportive of me, even though I obviously like got myself into that. But
fuck, man, that's going hard in the paint pretty early.
Yeah.
Jesus. How about a traffic ticket you were telling me about? Huh?
Okay, yeah. So this was right when I turned 16. I actually had to wait to get my driver's license because my grades were not up to par. So I turned 16 in August. I didn't get my license till like March of the next year. So this was a big deal. I had like waited to get my license. All my friends had their licenses, this whole thing. At the time I was working at Baskin Robbins. Nice. I had a little job. And so spring break was coming up. So I devised this plan that me and my best friend were going to take a little trip, to Vegas.
Oh.
So my parents wanted to go out of town for spring break, and I basically told them that I had to work. And so they left me home to work, and they went out of town with like my brothers and some other family. So then as soon as they left, my friend and I stole my parents' car and drove to Las Vegas.
As 16, 17-year-olds.
16. Yeah, at 16. So
wow.
we get there and we know we're going to stay the night. We have it like all planned out, like down to the minute, because we had to be back the next day so she could pick her parents up from the airport. So from Salt Lake, it's just like a straight shot, maybe like 6 to 8 hours drive. So we get down there and we end up conning this couple into getting us a hotel room. So we
you guys are some badass kids.
So we like make up this story that like we're meeting our parents there and they like got delayed, and so we had we needed a place to stay, blah blah blah. So we conned this couple into getting us a hotel room, but we literally just got in the room and just jumped on the beds and didn't even sleep at all. So I have a whole joke that I do about it. So anyway, we stay up all night, and then on the way home, I'm driving. My friend is next to me, just knocked out, just passed out asleep, and she looked so comfortable. I decided to take a little nap. So I fell asleep while I was driving. I veered off the road. I woke up. I overcorrected and flipped the car and rolled it into the median 3 times. So then I had to call my parents while they're out of town, let them know, 1, I went to Vegas, and 2, I totaled their car. So that's the first time I got a ticket.
How bad
for
was that adrenaline dump? Like, because not only do you have to admit that you wrecked the car,
yeah,
you now have to admit you're out of state.
Yeah.
And you almost died in the process. God.
Yeah, my parents were upset. My dad was literally so upset that, I know he didn't mean it, but he was like, I would have rather you die than have to sit here and deal with your betrayal right now. Yeah, he said that to me at 16. So, yeah, that was that. And then I, dated a guy who did heroin, so it's fine.
You had a rough first quarter century.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Ouch. I was in a 100-mile-an-hour car accident with an overcorrection as a passenger. Fortunately, I was in a German-made, German spec BMW. So that thing, like 100 miles an hour, taking that overcorrection, we didn't flip. What were you guys in? That
a Ford Explorer.
Yeah. I Explorer's an SUV too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, top heavy as hell.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, wasn't a scratch on us though, so I mean that was good.
Extremely. You guys probably deployed all the airbags and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was totaled. I mean, the car was
fuck
totaled, but there's no speed limits in Germany, right? Is that a thing? Like
so,
on the Autobahn?
The Autobahn is where for predominant amount of the drive is without speed limits. But when you get closer to like big towns and everything, they bring it down. It's still like 100 clicks, which is like 60 miles an hour. Sometimes like 120, 140. But yeah, there's stretches where you need to know what the fuck you're doing. What I love with the German driving those, I was talking off air with you, is their culture is, they're not one of those people like, if I see you fucking up, I'm just gonna let it coast. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna give you that evil eye and be like, hey, like unfuck yourself kind of thing. So when you're driving 120 miles an hour, I know that the other German on the road is going to be in the right lane unless that person's passing. So I love driving on the Autobahn, not for the speed, because I never really broke 100 miles an hour myself, but I just know that I can trust everybody out on the road here.
Right. So they just like cut the old people off at a certain age, like you're not allowed on this, you can't drive.
They don't really let their elderly like deteriorate to where they're like, man, like they're very healthy people. It's a pedestrian culture, so they're walking everywhere, they're running everywhere. So it's you do see older people like driving on the Autobahn.
They're running to the Taco Bell.
Yeah. Oh man, a German Taco Bell would be, I don't know, that'd be interesting. Nice. Speaking of driving, compared to, you said you're at Salt Lake City in Utah. How's the driving compared to Colorado Springs? I hate driving here in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. It's the worst. It's the worst here. But yeah, Utah drivers are pretty bad too. Really? I think it's bad here because there's such like a mix of people that like nobody can like catch the same vibe. But in Salt Lake, like they're just all retarded.
Is it they're driving slow, they're driving fast, they're not caring? Like,
yeah, they just can't make up their mind about what they want to do.
Sounds like Pennsylvania drivers.
Like, just a second. I'm going to pray about it. Just give me a second.
You had to stop late to see the Book of Mormon open
I'm
up.
just going to need one second.
I just remembered. I actually have a Book of Mormon here. I was a bad atheist, and I was like, I forget what hotel room I was in. I looked like Book of Mormon. You don't see that very often. Put that right in the... Yeah. Going to hell for that one, among other things.
You know what? That's what it's there for. They probably wanted you to take it.
I think who is that does that? The I was gonna say Davidians, but those guys all died in Waco. Who is it that gives out the Bibles in the hotels?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always see them, but I don't know who's sponsoring that.
Yeah, I think they do. They're like, well, we would rather you sin and take the book and keep the book and learn from the book.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what. I mean, it's one thing to give somebody a Bible, but the Mormons, they will baptize you by proxy after you die.
Yeah, I heard y'all baptized Hitler or Anne Frank or something like that.
It was, we did. I mean, it was a fight for who got to do that one. Because you definitely get extra points, but
wow,
yeah.
Oh, so in your system, you got the more people you baptize, the more closer to God or something like.
Yeah, it's like the bigger the hair, the higher, the closer to God. The higher the hair, the closer to God. The more people you baptize, the closer to God. I mean,
wow.
You can definitely get extra credit for sure.
And for Hitler, that's like, all right, game over. I got the high score.
Yeah.
Going into most of the bomb questions have been talking about bombing in the past. One of the questions that I'm now trying to flesh out is fear of bombing in the future. Mm-hmm. And the example I give people is I open up on an autobiographical story or a set, and somebody just cuts so hard into my psyche that just knocks out the load-bearing wall of my soul, and it scares me off comedy forever. It sounded like you had a fear of bombing in the future and something on the topic of the future. So
yeah,
what's up?
There's definitely a lot around that. I think, the biggest thing for me is just getting on stage and just totally forgetting everything. That still has yet to happen, but you just rely on your brain so much, and I'm just waiting for my brain to just be like, you know what, no, not today.
I've had that a couple times where you get up there and ever since my second or third set ever, I've always either written it on my hand or I've had it in my back pocket because I've gone completely blank, where it's just that, nothing going on.
Yeah.
You're so lucky that you haven't had that yet.
Yeah, but people will definitely throw you off. And I think as you start to do more crowd work, then that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I guess I probably just maybe reading people wrong. This doesn't really apply to comedy, but the other day I had some neighbors move in, and I was super high. I just smoked all the weeds. I do that now. I don't do heroin, but the weeds, yeah. And I came out, and some neighbors had just moved in, and they were super chatty and just wanted to talk to us. And I totally thought that their little girl was a boy. And because I don't know, you know how some little boys have long hair, she was dressed kind of like a boy, and I think that I played it off so she didn't know that I thought. I asked my husband after, I was like, did it sound like I thought that was a boy? So sometimes I just think things that are totally wrong, and so I could probably do that on stage, but at least people now, you can't really, adults, you just can't really assume that. Yeah. I don't assume in adults, but little kids, obviously, I
am a little worried about that. My son's 2 months old almost now. Because we're going to this strange new world of, everything's fluid gender wise. So he's is it gonna be them, they for everybody until I figure out what you're identifying as?
Right. Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I'm real bad about it. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to understand, and then I end up coming off offensive because I asked the wrong questions, I guess.
It sounds like a typical comedian.
So
social awkward, fuck up thoughts.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to be normal.
Speaking of gender and sex, you said you had a worse sex story, a bomb sex story.
It's just this is one of the first jokes that I wrote is kind of about this, and it's just like being a girl now, there's like so many standards to like live up to this new, definition of beauty. And so, for me, it's just like an eyelash will come off, a lash will come off, or, some hair will come out or something, And so for me, I think that's kind of, I haven't really had one particular story, but it's more just, I've been wearing lashes since they came out, in like 1957. Like, so I definitely had like a lot of experiences where I'm just like gathering up my like my items before I leave. Like, I'm gonna leave one lash, and hopefully he calls me again.
Just have like a little number on the back, like a calling card.
Yeah, it's not a spider. Don't kill it.
That's awesome. So speaking of like fake lashes and everything, found out that you were a cosmetologist at one point. One of the questions I was going over with you was a work bomb, and I was curious if that was involved with cosmetology or if it was something else.
Yeah. So when I was in cosmetology school, it was my very first men's haircut.
My wife was so fucking nervous.
Yeah, it's way worse, way worse than a woman's haircut because you can hide it. So I like go, I'm like getting ready, and keep in mind, this is in school. Okay. So this person like paid maybe, I don't know, like $3 for this haircut.
Yeah.
Like they know that they're coming to a school. Like, sir, you understand, like I've never done this. So you have to like sign a waiver and stuff.
I signed one of those, I think about 10 times.
Yeah.
Jersey, I think spends like 3 months on there, 3 to 6 months on there. So I was in there all the time.
Yeah, just you get what you pay for. People. Like that's not a joke.
Were you doing a high and tight with the buzzers, or were you?
Yeah, it was definitely like some type of like fade. So I go and I'm like getting ready, and I've got my clippers in hand, and I'm like, I got this. I'm giving myself my motivational speech, and then like some girl named Jessica just starts coming at me.
It's always a Jessica,
in my ear, and I'm just trying to focus anyway. So I'm like, I gotta get going, and so I literally just forget to put the guard on and just go straight up the back of the guy's head and basically bick him. And
what was that?
And I was like, and I literally like I just went up the straight back of his head, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I literally just set the clippers down and I walked away. I just like walked off, I'm like, oh shit. So I literally just like left and went and got my instructor, and the guy was like so mad. He was not happy. He was not cool about it.
Did he know it instantly? Because that's a very distinct feel of the bare blade.
I mean, I think he had to have known, but I was out of there. I don't know. I had no time to figure out what his problem was because I was gone. So yeah, then I don't know. My instructor was trying to like blend it out, but it was.
Did you get past what's that bone back? Did you get up past that or?
Right. No, I mean, I think it was probably like right where I was supposed to be.
Okay. So it just had to be a higher fade than usual.
Yeah. But he just was like super particular about it. Like, it's not going to grow back in a couple weeks, but.
I had a haircutter when she fucked up. She's like, "Oh, it's a 2-week mistake. Like, it'll be blended out in 2 weeks." Like,
yeah. So, but at that point, that was like such a momentous thing for me, and so ever since I've been like traumatized by men's haircuts. And when I worked in the salon, I would just like sometimes refuse to do it, and the owner would get so mad at me. I'm like, "No, I'm not doing it." And she's like, "You can't pick and choose." I'm like, "The fuck, I can't." I'll make it. I'll mess it up, and then you won't ask me to do it again.
I'll have you talk to my wife. She she started, I think, with your guys' like instruction. Sounds like you go with long hair first, and then you start working into other things like buzz cuts and everything. Yeah. So when I showed up for the first time, because my wife's like, hey, discount haircut and everything. And she knew that were we married at that point? I think we were married at that point. So she's like, I'm going to be cutting your hair for the rest of your life, so I might as well start getting good, early. And I remember her sitting there with the clippers the very first time she cut my hair. And, like, it took her a while. Like, usually it's like you sit down as the customer and, like, within 30 seconds you get the cape over you. Like, you're already hearing the buzzers going. Right. It had to have been, like, 2 or 3 minutes. I'm like, are we going to cut my hair?
She's like, maybe.
It took a while, but yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
It's intimidating. I mean, you grow up as a lady, like braiding, cutting like long things of hair. And then it's like, hey, I got to be right up against this person's scalp.
Yeah.
That's going to be fucking terrifying. So.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, my wife leans into the men's haircuts all the time. So I'll get you guys to talk offline and maybe learn some tricks of the trade.
Yeah, she can show me because...
It sounds like some people need like anxiety medication to do men's cuts.
Yeah, just get me a bowl. I can do the bowl, and that's it.
That's a good one. Go back. What is that? That was big in the 60s or 70s. Just do that throwback there.
Yeah. I don't know when exactly. Probably the time they were doing all the drugs. I don't know.
So all the time. I'm getting to the point. My hair is starting to do like that natural part from like the 90s.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's starting to like curl down.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm talking to my mic right now. Yeah, it's getting pretty bad.
That's amazing.
Yeah, buddy.
I feel like a lot of stuff is coming back though from like the 90s. Like, girl, there's a whole thing going right now where skinny jeans will like age you. Like if you're wearing skinny jeans, you're definitely considered old. So now you have to have a middle part and like the baggy jeans, like the high rise like baggy jeans with like the white.
I'll wear some Jinkos. I don't give a shit, people.
Yeah. I mean, you're in. Like, that's
Hell
it.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's coming back.
My mom's coming in, I think, Friday, and I believe she's bringing some of my Jinkos, because now that I have a podcast around the 90s, she's actually going to start bringing in some of my old shit there, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I was seeing that, though. A lot of, when I was on Google, they give you, like, recommended articles and everything, and apparently it's a big thing right now that the Gen Zers are calling us out for side parts and stuff. Like, who gives a shit? Like... You'll know, kid, when you get into your mid-30s, you don't give a fuck what the 19-year-olds are saying.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I just do my hair, which is complimentary to me. Like, I would rather, like, do a side part because I have a very long face. And if I, like, middle part it, then it just really accentuates that. So I'm like, I really don't give a fuck about any of that. Like, I just wear...
But yeah, middle part is very 90s, though.
Middle
so,
part.
like, I remember when that was big the last time, buddy. Like, fuck off.
Right. We already know. We've already done that.
So getting through the questions here, you actually brought in a new one that I'm surprised I didn't have, but throwing up. I'm surprised I don't remember putting that in the podcast questions. So
yeah.
How about throwing up? You got that story?
It's definitely, it's really, this is probably my most embarrassing thing that like, like when you're super drunk and you're trying to hold it together. Like
I got this. Give me a moment.
Yeah. Like I got it. I really do take pride in the fact that for the most part I can, hold it together. Like if I'm just obliterated, like you're not gonna know. But I know.
What's your drink of choice?
Tequila.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
What's your brand?
I don't even know. I mean, obviously, like.
I got about 5 bottles of Don Julio upstairs.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I just can't have like, it's got to be like clear.
Okay, yeah. Go with your Blancos and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're continuing on. So you said.
So anyway, I was in the car headed home, and I like really was like, I'm fine. It's gonna be fine. I have this under control. And then out of nowhere, just no. And so, I like didn't even have time to really say like pull over or anything, and so I was trying not to get it like on the person's car. So I just like basically like intentionally just like threw up on myself. I was very conscious of other people and their surroundings, but I definitely just I was like sitting there, I just like threw up on myself.
So this was a tequila drunk?
Oh, this was probably like champagne, Jello shots, tequila.
Oh God.
A mix of everything.
'Cause I know so many people, they say they've had really rough stories with tequila in the past and they get scared off of it. And
no, tequila, my body just processes it the best, especially now that I'm getting older. Like, I feel like that's just like the one thing that I don't get a huge hangover.
With tequila, the process is much more natural than almost any other alcohol. And it being an upper, it being natural sugars and everything, it's much easier to process. So if you want a good quality alcohol, like I said, go top shelf tequila with your Don Julios. Like, it's fucking good. I love tequila so much.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're on. Because, most people are like, are you trying to be crazy? Because, like, some people, I guess, get angry or whatever. So when you say tequila, everyone's like, oh, my gosh, she likes to party.
Yeah.
Like, there's this stigma around it, which is not.
I had a coworker when I first got to Colorado. I was on a huge tequila binge, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna pound like this bottle, 750 milliliters. It was like, all right, I'll have my little rocks glass, maybe 2 fingers, one for the weekend. But I talk about it constantly because I was on a huge Don Julio kick, and I had a coworker be like, "Man, you're an alcoholic." I'm like, I'm only having 2 servings of alcohol a weekend. Like, you're talking about drinking a 12-pack last night. Fuck off. Like, so what I hate with drinking and seeing other people like puke and everything is the food that they've had before it comes up the second time. Do you remember what you had that night?
No. It was like so far into the night. Like, this like warranted the situation. This was probably like 4 a.m, and I was just obliterated.
Fuck.
So no.
I remember, was it my wife? It was somebody that was in my life. We had hibachi, and that person, like, clean plate club. So all the vegetables and everything, the soy sauce, when that came up, it was just disgusting, like, trying to clean that up.
Do you want to save this for later?
Yeah. And every person I've ever been with, like, that wasn't that good the second time. I'm like, yeah, no shit. You got stomach bile in there. Like, it's not a deep thought. I was like, oh, really? Who would have thought? But sticking with body functions, you said this is, as a parent, you've been having a lot of crop dusting stories.
Yeah, my crop dusting story would just be my kids. They're ladies at school. They hold their farts in. But then the second that 2:30 hits and they get in my car, they let it rip. So basically every day I'm just getting the show, the fireworks, the whole thing just going off in the car. And it's fine. I just roll down the windows and drive really fast.
That also it kind of ties into sharding, though. Have you ever had your kid just like trying to push it out and then a little too far?
No. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how to make her poop. Like, every time she has to poop, like, we have to like schedule her poops because they take so long, and I literally yelled at her yesterday. She had to go to the bathroom at the store, and I'm like, you're not pooping here. We're not doing this here. Like, you can wait until we get home because I know how long it takes.
What store was it?
I think it was just like King Supers.
Okay.
So like the grocery store, and I was almost done. Like, I was done shopping. I'm like, we're gonna be home in like 5 minutes. Can we just? So I like let her go pee, because I didn't want her to pee her pants. But I'm like, this is a commitment. Like, when she's got to poop, like, it's at least a 20-minute commitment.
It's a project.
Yeah. So I'm like, let's take this party home. We're not doing this here.
I think I've only gone to the bathroom at a grocery store maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. It's always the hardware stores. I will crop dust the fuck out of a Lowe's. And Barnes and Noble. I don't know what is with those 2 stores, but like my body's like, all right, here's the place a really quiet place where everyone's just trying to like, stay themselves and read. In a place where all the men are like, what the fuck's that smell?
That's amazing.
I've walked numerous Lowe's aisles with that, the walking that. Yeah, fucking sucks. And the thing with stores is it's a mystery sometimes where the bathroom's at. Is it in the front and they're trying to watch out for shoplifters, or is it in the back so you can hide your dignity? Like,
it's in the front. King Super's in the front. It's usually by the pharmacy.
Have upset stomach, go to the pharmacy, get something for it. Like, that fucking sucks.
Just yell for the pharmacist from the bathroom.
You got any Pepto? I'll pay for it.
Take my card here.
Or is it like a Costco where they have the samples and everything? Like, can I get a Pepto sample? Like, fuck, man. That ties into sharding. We have a sharding story.
Okay. Well, so, and you said in front of like a significant other. I haven't really like sharded in front of anybody, but I remember my husband, when we were dating, I definitely like farted in my hand and then stuck it over his face.
You do not strike me as that type of person.
Yeah, I initiated that. I did that. That was me. I did that. And then I've had like a lifetime to freaking pay for it. Now 10 years later, I'm still paying for it. But I don't know. I thought that was fun.
That's a Pandora's box as a couple. Is whoever, decides to do something like that, you're really committing to the level of humor in the relationship from now on.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
My wife would stab me if I ever did. She's okay with the farts because I let them rip just like your daughters. It's like we get to the right location. But if I ever did something like that, besides her puking her brains out, she would immediately beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I don't know. The part of me is I don't know if I'm jealous of a relationship like that. There's sometimes you just gotta
keep your boundaries.
Have a little mystery to the relationship.
If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for everything. So, yeah.
We should get that on a T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I grew up with 5 brothers. I was the only girl, so.
Okay. That's starting to explain it.
Yeah. I've always kind of been a creep. That's to say the least. So.
That kind of explains your rebellious nature after high school is, being the only daughter like that. You've had to have been like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure in the Mormon culture to be a certain way. Like growing up, it was very much like you're going to be a wife, like you're going to be a mother, like you got to learn how to cook and clean and sew and, really just like fill this role. And like, Utah, the Wives of Salt Lake City. I still got to watch that show. But it's like there's like a lot of really pretty people in Utah. Like there's a huge plastic surgery thing
industry
there. Yeah.
Wow.
And like they really care about like their image and they really care about being like the hottest one on the block and like being that like perfect trophy wife.
Okay.
So, there's just definitely a lot of pressure to be a certain type of way, and I don't do well with that.
No, that fucking sucks.
So, I was always in church. I was always the one that was like, excuse me. Like this Joseph Smith guy is kind of weird.
That's my speaking from the outside. Speaking in. That's some kind of weird stuff going on there. That's the thing. Life is hard enough, paying bills, getting to work on time, all that stuff. Now you got to worry about being the prettiest one on the block. Like, that's too much CPU time for me. Like, I'm not gonna let my brain get burnt up by worrying about my looks that much. Yeah. Be presentable, but I don't need to be the hottest one on the block.
Yeah, like a 7. A 7 out of 10. That's really.
I'll be happy with a 5 for myself.
Yeah, hell yeah. You just make sure you shop at Walmart. You good?
Yeah. Well, speaking of growing up, though, one of the funnier questions I feel I have on there is hearing your parents having sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was I was in elementary, maybe like 6, 7, 8, and so I just like walked in. I definitely walked in on them.
Oh. They under the covers, or they?
Yeah, they were under the covers. And I was never allowed to like sleep in my parents' bed. Like my kids sleep in my bed every freaking night, but I was never allowed like in my parents' room. And so I don't know, but anyway, I like walked in there and just like ran out crying. Like I was so upset and traumatized and I felt so betrayed. Like that's like the feeling that I get. It's like betrayal, like I don't know why. I don't know where it was. And I just remember like I like ran out into the living room and my mom like came after me and I'm just like, why would you do that? and my mom just like explained like that's what you do and you love each other, and I'm just like, but that's disgusting. That's gross. And it was I still remember it, like that was gross. I never, but like after that, like that's literally the only time that I think that's the only time my parents ever did it. I think they probably just stopped doing it after that. They're like, it's not worth it. It's not worth upsetting her.
Well, maybe you learned the value of knocking before you enter. And
yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember if I like knocked or anything. Probably, I guess not.
Wow.
But my parents are older. Like I was the youngest out of, I have 5 older brothers and I'm the very youngest. So my mom, I'm 32 and my mom is like at least 70.
Okay. Wow.
So I was definitely, I probably knocked and they couldn't hear me because they old.
You sit there and pound like the fucking cops. Like,
yeah.
You guys close.
They're all, what?
Knock louder. What the fuck? One of the questions, I don't know if it's a new question. I feel it's a new question. Was pissing your pants? You said you have quite a few stories on that one.
Yeah. I've never like wet the bed, but I just every time like I laugh really hard, like I was always known by like all my friends. They would like purposely try to like get me to laugh hard enough to pee my pants. Like this wasn't like an after kids thing. This is just literally always been a thing. But like like you're laughing. It's like that fall on the floor, like knee slapping laugh that I'll pee. And I just immediately, I'm having a good time if I pee my pants. So I just prepare and just bring an extra pair of
that was going to be my question. There you go.
I brought my supply, so I'll just wipe this up.
I'm ready to laugh.
Yeah.
Have you had helping at open mic yet? Somebody just knocking down the crowd and you're just like, well, I pissed myself.
No. No, not yet. I've laughed pretty hard at some open mics, but it doesn't happen as much anymore. And I almost wish it would. I like miss that. I miss that feeling. Like I wish somebody would make me pee my pants.
Step up your game, Colorado Springs.
Yeah, but I'm just old and angry, and I don't laugh anymore.
Got to get Lou to laugh.
Yeah.
Embarrassing injury.
Yeah. I got hit by a car on my bicycle.
How fast was he going?
Okay, so my friend and I were on a bike ride. We were probably like 14, and we're coming up like a pretty main road in Bountiful, Utah, and we're passing like a strip mall. And so I was first, my friend was behind me, and I stopped and there was a car turning right. So I had the right of way. And I'm pretty sure like I thought that he saw me, but apparently maybe he did, and he doesn't like little kids. I don't know.
Got thin the herd.
Yeah, he's like, there's too many of you little white blonde haired bitch, like with your purple bicycle.
It's Utah. You're dime a dozen, right?
Yeah. If you ding that bell one more time, I'm gonna hit you. So yeah, I was like, I remember asking my friend, I was like, should I go? And she's like, yeah, go. And so I pull out.
You first.
And so I pull out, he pulls out, and he hits my back tire. Ooh. And I like literally, I don't know what, maybe the guy was like, hi, I don't know. But I like go onto I like bounce off the hood, and then he runs over my leg. I had a tire mark up my leg. I still have a scar on my foot.
Break anything?
No, and it like literally didn't break my back. I'm basically like that's when I found out I was like, I was a superhero.
You're what is it? Unbreakable with Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the guy literally, I'm not joking, he didn't drive away, but he pulled around me. So I'm laying in the street and he pulls his car around me, and then he like pulls back into the parking lot and stops, but he left my ass like so another car could just come and like take me out. Like, dang it, I didn't get her. Like somebody else get
you
me
would have
out.
died in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was the lady behind him who like got out, and like ran over and helped me. And,
dude.
so then I had to go to the hospital. The worst part, I think, was like when they were trying to, because I had like asphalt, in my cuts, like in my foot. So then like taking the cheese grater and trying to, but it like fucked up my leg. My bone wasn't broken, but it was messed up. And so the great part about this was that I was supposed to go on something called Trek. It's a Mormon thing where you dress up like pioneers
in cosplay.
That's so funny. I need to remember that. That's funny.
Mormon cosplay.
Yeah, Mormon cosplay, where you dress up as pioneers. So I had like the long skirt, it's really heavy, the long sleeve shirts, like the bonnets, and you go out in the middle of the desert and you go from like point A to point B over like a couple days.
Okay.
So you have to you have like your hand carts. So you have to like pull these hand carts.
What the fuck?
And like transport all of your stuff, and then we build fires and like cook and do all this stuff, right? So I thought I was gonna get out of going on Trek, but I still had to go. But they did give me some pain pills. So I was just like obviously not that much. I was only 14, but I was just like hopped up on pain pills. I was like, let's go, guys. Like, like I was pulling all the hand carts.
This Oxycontin's awesome.
Like, did they have this back in the day or what? But that's the funny thing about the Mormons is like they're so against the weeds, like you can't smoke weed, like you can't, but like there's such a high percentage of people who take prescription drugs.
Yeah.
Like antidepressants, it's a huge, like,
there's a lot of pressure in that culture. So I'd imagine there's a
everybody
huge antidepressants.
is on antidepressants. Yeah. And there is, it turns out, like a pretty big like heroin problem there. And it's because all these people are on freaking pain pills.
Oxys and everything.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but yeah, that's
funny you guys go
true.
cosplaying out in the desert though.
That's so funny. Yeah. Into it. We are into it.
How much, what time of year are you guys walking across the desert?
I mean, it was in the summer. I remember actually it was in June. It was in June,
my
yeah.
God. And you said you had open cuts on your leg.
Yeah. It was definitely like wrapped up. And
this sounds fucking awful.
Yeah.
How long of a walk do you think this was?
Oh, dude, I don't even know.
Besides numerous days.
Yeah, it was probably over like 2 days. We did it over like a weekend, I'm sure. And
so is it you guys walk to point B and then there's a bus there that takes you home, or is it you guys walk back to point A, then get in your car and go home?
Yeah. There was I think that there was like a bus that met us and picked us up at the end of the route.
That sounds so fucking miserable.
Yeah. It's called Trek. Like
it does not sound fun. It's not a Star Trek.
It's not Star Trek. It's not. I was not in space. I was in space.
Oh, yeah,
nobody else was in space.
You're on the good stuff. No one looks like Klingons. Like
yeah. That's fancy. I like your bonnet.
I didn't even put those together. That's awesome. Wow. I have a lot of questions because my 20s and my 30s have been a struggle with like my basically going to atheism and everything. So I want to get into that if you want to, and the Damned podcast would be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Speaking of being miserable, worst kiss. You said you had a story about a bomb kiss.
All right. I'm not going to say this person's name because I know that they like
protect the
watch my stuff.
Oh, so you had a lasting effect.
Yeah. No. So, okay. This was in high school, and I didn't even get my first kiss until I was, like 16. Like I was busy. I was going to Vegas, doing other shit. Like I wasn't worried about boys at all. Like the bigger fish to fry. But anyway, so I did have a crush on this one boy and I like literally was just in love with him. Like all through high school, I remember seeing him like the first day in Miss Halavity's class in English. I was like, oh my God. That's my type.
Why do birds suddenly appear?
So I literally went through all of high school all of high school, like just like waiting for him to like notice me. And I was never friends with like the popular kids. Like I was always like the odd one out, and I really didn't go to school that much, so people just thought that I was a piece of shit. But anyway, whatever. So I just had this big crush, and I really didn't think that he had any interest in me at all. And even like his best friend like really liked me a lot, and I was so mad about it. I thought, oh, maybe he's like trying to talk to me for his friend, but no. So then I was like, well, that really decreases my chances, because his best friend likes me, so then he can't like me, and it ruins the whole thing.
It ruins the network, because back in high school I'd be like, hey, can you talk to your friend about me or whatever? Like that would suck if your middleman is that'd be a conflict of interest.
Yeah. So it was like literally like the last couple months of school, our senior year. I was sitting at home, and I didn't have a cell phone, right? So like this is like pre-cell phone, house phones, like you call from your house to their house.
Oh.
And I was sitting in my kitchen, and all of a sudden his last name comes up on my caller ID.
Caller ID, I forgot about
yeah,
those.
Hell
You'd
yeah.
run to the caller ID, be like, okay, it's somebody I want to talk to.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, holy shit. Like, this is like, what is happening? Like this can't be real. Right. And so I like answer the phone, and I'm all, hello, and the guy is like, basically like tells me over the phone, like, I've had a crush on you like all through high school, and I've just now like worked up the guts. He's like, I told myself before we graduate that I'm gonna like ask you out.
Hell yeah.
So we end up like going out, whatever. And so then our first kiss, like there was like such a build up for this. Like this was a huge deal. Like, and I hadn't like kissed a lot of people. Like this was big for me, and it was awful. And so it's just like, man, I waited all of high school for this, and it sucked. It just ruined everything. And so then, and that's everything. Like if that doesn't go good, then like it's,
that's your foot in the door. If that goes wrong.
Yeah. So then after that, I mean, it was just over. So
fuck, man.
I just, pushed him off of me and told him to get out, and that he's a piece of shit and should probably.
Damn.
No. No.
Say kicking out legs now.
No.
Jeez.
We're still friends. But
I'm looking back. So I was a virgin all through high school. Didn't have a girlfriend. Didn't have a kiss or anything. I'm kind of looking back now, like, was I the lucky one? Because like, I don't know. Having to go through painful stuff like that, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many kids who, and probably worse now than when we were growing up, but I couldn't fathom like just dealing with that at that age,
Yeah.
And there were so many kids, even in junior high, that I know were like having sex, like doing all these things, and I'm just like, what? Like, but you know what is weird in Utah is they teach abstinence. They don't teach safe sex. And I'm still mad about it.
Dumbest fucking way to approach sex.
So freaking dumb. Like kids are still going to have sex whether you tell them to or not, And so I'm like, at least just teach them to be smart about it. Yeah. So like
it's sex, not heroin. Like
right. Like, and you can protect yourself. And guys now, like I still have conversations with my friends. I'm like, did you use a condom? And they're like, well, I asked her if she was on birth control, and she's like, yeah, I was. I'm totally on birth control. I've only had AIDS 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. You're only worried about one of many things to worry about.
Yeah, like that blows my mind. Is just the freaking the lack of even people outside of Utah, but I'm just saying that I was like super uneducated on that, and I definitely had like my fair share of STDs.
Ooh. Well, the funny thing is the association, if you look at states that go abstinence only in their thing, they have the higher rates of teen pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, boy, there's some kind of correlation that we're just going to fucking ignore. Like,
right.
I hate that shit. The last question before we jump into that bomb-ass decade, the 90s, you're saying that you're absent-minded, which I've kind of picked up through this whole podcast, but I think you're talking about the kitchen. You're putting just random stuff. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that's like, I hope this is relatable, but maybe it's just me, is that I'm just like a total space cadet. And this is the thing that probably drives my significant other the craziest, is that I'm the worst. Like, I like leave lids off of stuff. I leave cupboards open.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'll be watching TV, look over and be like, yep, totally left 3 fucking cupboards open.
Yeah. The nice thing is, though, like, I can smoke a lot of weed and nobody knows the difference, because like I'm just like that on a daily basis. So, high or not high, I'm still going to put the milk in the cupboard. I don't know.
One of my consistent absent-minded things, I don't know, if it's between absent-minded and not giving a fuck, is my wife is always calling me out so in our family, we get however many rolls of toilet paper like in the pack, and we just put the pack next to the toilet. Mm-hmm. And when I finish up the roll that's on the wall that she already put there, I'll grab the loose one, do my thing, and all that stuff. Every single time my wife calls me, I'm like, could you please put the roll on the toilet paper roll? I'm just like, one, I don't care, and two, it's probably an absent-minded thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's so much easier to like carry that roll over here instead of having to. I hate the ones that like toilet paper rolls like behind you. You ever had that? You gotta do like basically yoga to fucking grab your toilet paper.
That's ridiculous. Or stand up and turn around.
Yeah.
Or for you, I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, because you don't use toilet paper when you pee. Right. Got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, toilet paper is like it's a whole thing for sure. I'm definitely trying to teach my kids right now, like which way it goes.
Are you over or are you the under?
Over.
Oh, over. Yes. What weird communist knows what the under?
Okay, you know what? There's like I'm developing a list of like serial killer protocol. And that's one of them. And the other one is, if you take your pills without water, like if you just take a pill and you just swallow it, like you're a murderer.
Yeah.
Like what kind of creep are you? Like that's
the other toilet paper related sociopathy. What sociopath buys another person fucking single ply? You do not care about that person.
Like, it's just like, that's like such a what's the word? Oh my gosh.
Sociopathic is the only thing I can think of is you do not have
when you're like easygoing, like when you're passive aggressive. That's what I'm trying to go for.
Yeah, that's
like such of a passive aggressive F you. Like I'm gonna get it for you.
I got you toilet paper, you asshole.
Next time, get it yourself.
That's the thing. Like, how much toilet paper do I need to take off the single ply thing to make sure that I don't, have the worst case scenario happen? Like, I hate single ply.
You must have it down to an art at this point. And
no, we just go to Costco, get that Kirkland's, the best quality toilet paper you can find out there.
Oh, that's good.
The multiply.
That's good to know.
Hell yes. So you and I have 1 year between us on graduating high school. So our stories of the 90s should be pretty relatable to each other, hopefully to our audience as well. One of the big things that everybody brings up, and you also brought up, was the music scene of the 90s. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. What was your jam there? Were you in the more of the pop music, rock, alternative?
I mean, all of it. I loved all of it. Like, I mean, obviously, like Alanis Morissette, Jewel, Natalie Imbruglia, and then some of like I don't know, like Goo Goo Dolls.
Dude, I just downloaded Iris, I think about 2 or 3 months ago. Yeah. It's like, how did that song fall off my phone? Like, I love that song.
What's that, like, Counting Cars? Is it Counting Cars? And then the one that, like, She's a God.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. I just looked that up the other
Vertical
day.
Horizon?
Yeah, I think so.
I actually saw them live. And for the first 60 minutes of their set, nobody gave a shit. But then they played, I think they played that, and they played, I forget their big single back in the 90s. But then everybody jumped up and like, bah!
Yeah.
I remember Vertical Horizon now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and like Dave Matthews, was that in the 90s? That was 2000.
That was a big 90s one.
Yeah.
You're talking about Alanis Morissette. So many people associate her with just being like kind of like innocent, like really good singer. Jagged Little Pill. Holy shit. Some of those lyrics, So what was it? Can't remember the name of the song. Fuck. Let me pull this up real quick.
Yeah, pull it up. I'm sure I'll recognize the song, but I don't know off the top of my head.
But I remember the lyric was, you said you would love me until you die, but you're still alive. Like, that sounds a little like I'm about to fucking kill you. Like,
this is a prediction.
Alanis Morissette. You ought to know. So the lyrics on that, hold on a second. Pull up the lyrics. What'd you got? Lovely dead air right now.
I'm just like replaying songs in my head.
I wish we can play, but YouTube immediately. I played the last stanza of the Animaniacs thing. That was another great thing of the 90s, was the Saturday morning TV.
Yeah. I mean, cartoons were so different back then. Like, it's...
Yeah. And I feel like they had more like intellectual weight to them. Where I saw a study that said SpongeBob SquarePants actually decreases the brain activity of third graders. Like, I don't remember Animaniacs being studied for that.
No. No. Yeah. I mean, it was just totally a different world.
So I remember in the 90s with like Saturday morning cartoons, Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, and everything. I've always thought of it from the male perspective of like Saturday morning cartoons. It seems like the Fox box is really wired towards like the male side of things. Mm-hmm. What were you waking up on? Did you wake up Saturday morning to watch TV?
I mean, I was definitely like Looney Tunes.
Hell yeah.
Bugs Bunny. I kind of get like the 2000s and the 90s mixed up. Like, I remember watching stuff on Nickelodeon. Okay. Like Rugrats.
So
but that was kind of the next.
My parents never really had cable TV, so stuff like Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, all that stuff. I really wasn't exposed to that much.
Hey Arnold.
Yeah,
that was awesome. I loved Hey Arnold.
Is that the one with the weird head?
Yeah,
yeah,
the football head.
I saw that after I was already an adult and everything. I was like, that just looks fucking weird.
yeah, but like way back in the day. Yeah, I mean the biggest thing for me, I think, was Looney Tunes. I remember watching Barney, man. I totally watched Barney. I was super into that
was that big in
kindergarten
in the Mormon community? Because that seems very wholesome to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't allowed to watch a lot of stuff. I mean, I guess as I got older, like I never watched The Simpsons. And that's like such a classic. Now I've gone through and watched all of those. So it's been kind of cool to like go, watch it now as an adult, something that everyone else has already seen and I haven't seen it. Like that Seinfeld, I've gone through and watched all of it. That 70s show, I went through and watched all of that.
That 70s show was a banger.
So good.
Started in the late 90s, so we're still talking about the 90s.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I don't know.
What's weird with that 70s show is Ashton Kutcher and what's her name? Mila Kunis. Mm-hmm. You know, Mila Kunis was like 13 when she started that show.
No.
It kind of makes it creepy, like, because they're married now with like kids. Like Ashton, like you were legal age, and she was like 13.
Yeah, that's super weird.
Yeah,
that's super weird.
Especially if you look at the first several seasons, like she was always sitting in his lap, like always doing like this, like very.
But it was
intimate
the 90s, like back then. It was okay. The other thing about the 90s that I miss now being a parent is like my mom growing up, she had like a lot of health issues. So I was stuck like left like waiting in doctor's offices all the time. Like they just leave you. Like they just leave you wherever. Like you sit in this chair and you don't freaking move until we come back. Right? So now I try to do that. Nope.
You're abandoning your children. Like.
Yeah. It's like a whole thing. Like I had to get a CT scan on my sinuses. And so I took my kids with me because why? They're my kids, right? So I took them with me because they're my responsibility. Yeah. And I got in a fight with like the lady at the reception desk because she's like, you can't. And I was like, my kid is 9. Like she's totally capable of going to the bathroom by herself, saying no to strangers. I'm right here. It's going to be like a 5-minute process. They just joop, and I'm done. And she's like, no, it's a liability.
Yeah.
You cannot leave her one room over from you? No. You know, and I'm like, okay, well, one, what if like I couldn't afford a babysitter, or two, like I just moved here, I don't know anybody. Like there's so many scenarios where it's like, this is a medical procedure that I need to get done. It's not like I'm trying to get my nails done.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, ma'am, like you can't get treated for your medical condition because you're kids. You know, your kids, like you have kids, wait till they grow up and then maybe come back. Like,
yeah,
it's
just wait 15 years for this fucking medical procedure. Like,
yeah. Over it.
I remember that being raised in the 90s. My mom would go to J.C. Penney for fucking hours.
You're sitting outside the dressing room, just by yourself.
Dressing room, and then so there'd be that chair next to like the dressing room, the changing room. And my mom, she's like, oh, I don't want to wear this. You stay there. I'll go walk the sales floor to grab the proper thing. Yeah. Your parents would leave you for a good 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, in 5 fucking minutes. And you're hitting on the point. The biggest point is everybody's so afraid of the fucking lawsuit now that they literally, you're within shouting distance of your child. Like, if the kid's trying to get, about to get nabbed, you could still hear the child, like, you know, struggling. Like, oh, hey, I'm going to stop this CT scan and fucking go, like.
Yeah. I was in Barnes and Noble once, and like, I like told my kids, you know, just like look around. I don't know, you're like shitting at Barnes and Noble, and I'm like abandoning my kids at Barnes. And something about Barnes and Noble is clearly not us.
There's an aura of Barnes and Noble. What were we recording? We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Crop dusting Barnes and Noble.
Yeah. And I like a guy like that worked there, you know, came up to me like, I found your daughter. She was literally like the next aisle over. I could hear. I'm like, Camille, did you find anything? You know. But they're like, we found your daughter here.
They're all
like,
fucking
what are you
shell-shocked
doing? You know, and I'm just like, she's not going to get eaten by the book monster. Like, it's fine.
I'm a child of the 90s. I'm raising a child the same way, but apparently it's fucking illegal these days. Like,
yeah.
Oh, man. I do miss that. When I was in middle school, we literally had an open campus during lunch. Like, try to do an open campus in 2021.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know how they do it these days.
I doubt they do. So the reason why they did that was my school, the cafeteria was like 2 or 3 blocks over. It was a poorly designed school at the time. They've had figured like, okay, we're going to put the cafeteria in another building that they owned. So if we have kids walking 2 or 3 blocks over, might as well just open up the whole fucking campus. And we literally used to walk probably like a mile to like the grocery store, you know, the little food court that was on the other side of that.
Is this when you ran to the Taco Bell?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. It was amazing, man. Yeah. We're talking about how banging Taco Bell was in the 90s. And yeah, I'd have to run because the open campus only had an hour to go get lunch. And that was like a 20-minute walk. So yeah, you had to fucking run down and get Taco Bell. It was so good. I miss 90s Taco Bell.
Yeah, you know it was good if you didn't throw up on the run back.
Yeah. It was that's big quality. Fucking burrito, too. Like, I'm shocked I didn't throw up. But, man, fast food was on another level back then. I remember Popeyes was so much better. KFC was so much better.
Oh, yeah. KFC was popular in the 90s for sure.
KFC is basically shit in a bucket now. Like it's
Yeah. No. Arctic Circle. Did you ever go to Arctic Circle? Did you have those where you were?
I've heard of that one.
Oh, man. Maybe that's a Utah thing. Yeah. I'd go to Arctic Circle all the time.
Arctic.
Corn dogs? Corn dogs, anyone?
Arctic Circle.
Yeah, and they make fry sauce. They always have the best fry sauce. You know what fry sauce is?
Fry sauce. Never heard of that.
So I hear that it like originates in Utah, but I don't know for sure. You know, okay. I could just say that I originated it and it'd be like the same validity. It's ketchup and mayo mixed together. It's so freaking good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think my dad used to do that.
Yeah.
He probably still does.
Yeah, so they like have it there. Okay,
it's a very German thing. Yeah, was it Utah, Indiana, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming? If you're listening in those states, go get yourself some Arctic Circle corn dogs.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That menu sounds fucking good right now. I didn't have breakfast this morning, so I'll literally just like lick the screen here in a couple seconds. Lou, it was great talking to you. we'll get on to the Damned podcast here in a couple seconds, and there's several things I want to dig into, but it was great hearing about your bombs there. I'm starting to get compliments from other guests saying that like, oh, I haven't met Lou, but like I now know her on a different level, make it easier to like, break the ice and everything. So
Cool.
Feels like we're networking outside of the the stage area and everything. So it's awesome. So it was great talking to you. I hope to have you back soon. It was some of these bombs are absolutely hilarious. Get you back here pretty soon. So
Cool.
cool.
Thanks.
Have a good one.